Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for attending panel in the fantasy literature track. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. Thank you. Thank you so much. Is it stuck? So, my name is David Booth. I am a Denver-based author and editor. Before that, though, I was a radio personality. I did voiceovers. I was a professional Beetlejuice for several years. But I have never recorded an audiobook, so needless to say, that's why I was picked to moderate this panel. So, but we're going to now introduce my esteemed colleagues here who are going to tell you not only who they are, but how they're connected to audiobooks. And then we'll get going with the party. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Shami Stovall. Shami, like the car clock. I am an award-winning author. I've also been nominated for the Dragon Award this year, so...
I don't think this is your first time either, though.
Yeah, it's not my first time, but you guys need to vote. If you haven't voted in the Dragon Awards, all sorts of TV shows, board games, books are up on the ballot.
You have till midnight tonight to register, and then till midnight tomorrow to vote.
Yeah, if you go to the website, you can register. They'll email you a ballot. Please do so. Pick your favorite books. Maybe also my book, but you know.
And here where it's very important to vote, get practice in now.
Yeah.
This was a fun one to vote in, though.
It's nothing but fun, seriously. So, I have produced several audiobooks for my books. I've also worked with several audiobook companies, including Podium and Tantor and Sound of Theater. So I've done literally every single part of the process except for physically narrating an audiobook myself, because nobody wants to listen to my voice that long. But that's fine, it's totally cool. But so I'm happy to be on this panel. I can't wait to share some insight with you guys, just in case you're into making audiobooks.
All right, my name is Jeff Hayes. I'm the narrator of an audiobook series called Dungeon Crawler Carl. And also CEO of Sound of Theater, and also I am the main character in Shami's book, Time Marked Warlock.
Yeah, that's great. She does my urban fantasy series, the main character.
Ah, there's Annie, and she's the narrator.
All right, I am Sanchez. I'm the publisher of Spirit Moon Press, and I've also run Spirit Moon Productions, which has produced audiobooks for the past 10 years. So that's what I do here.
Hey guys, I'm Sampino. I am an actor and an audiobook narrator. I've done over 150 audiobooks, and I do all genres, but I specialize in fantasy and romantasy. So you've got me in my little corner over there. Something you might recognize is if you listen to Kiss of Iron by Claire Sager or the Vortex Chronicles series by Elise Silva.
Before we get into the questions, I want to point out here that this bucket is very, very important. This bucket helps people. Every panel throughout the entire DragonCon, you're going to see this bucket, and I recommend highly dropping a little bit of money in there, because this year's charity is, the Arthritis Foundation. And as a guy with arthritis in his neck and lower back, I cannot think of a better charity that benefits me. So please, when you get a chance, drop some money in there. We are also in competition with the other tracks, so drop a lot of money in now. All right. So, okay. I got it. Pardon me while he whips this out. There we go. All right. So, there we go. All right. So, audiobooks. Let's talk about this renaissance that has happened with audiobooks. When I first started listening to audiobooks, the only way I could find them was through the listening libraries in my town, right? They just weren't that many out there. And when you did find them commercially, they were almost always abridged. And then this amazing renaissance kind of happens in the 2000s where literally everything comes out unabridged on audio. And let's not even talk about how things have changed just in the last couple of years, but let's just talk about why do you think there's been a sudden renaissance over the last maybe 20 years regarding audiobook tastes? And we'll start with Shami, work our way down.
All right. I think a lot of it comes down to people do things like commute or do a lot of chores in which they, not that I want to say that you're not thinking about the road when you're driving, but a lot of people don't think about the road when they're driving. It's a very dull hour or 2 hours that they're on the road, either work and back, and there are a lot of truckers who also spend a lot of time on the road. There are a lot of people who are vacuuming the whole house, and that's 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And audiobooks really help that time just melt away. And I think the word is spreading. A lot of people really like audiobooks. The quality of audiobooks has just been skyrocketing, and people are really, really enjoying just listening to that while they're doing other things that don't necessarily require 100% of their attention.
Okay.
Yeah, I think mainly, all of those things have been true for audiobooks for a long time. It's just they haven't been very popular because people didn't know how to get them, or they didn't want to buy 50 cassettes in order to listen to one book, right? So the advent of digital media, right? Us having cell phones, all of us having smartphones now glued to our bodies, and also AirPods. All of that technology has made it that much easier to access audiobooks. I think another factor has been ACX. ACX is a subsidiary of Audible. It's a website where narrators and authors can get together. Basically, authors post their book, and it doesn't matter what your experience is with publishing or writing. You can post your book up there as long as it's published on Amazon. Narrators audition for those books. And one thing that got me into this business full bore is the option to do royalty share on ACX. So that allowed for more narrators, more producers and publishers to start sprouting up, start making their own businesses, and start producing audiobooks the way they think they need to be produced. And putting as much effort as they can, because when you have a royalty share deal on entertainment, there's no ceiling to how much you can earn. So really that incentivizes people to put a lot more quality and a lot more work into what they're doing. And considering that the audience continues to grow because of technology, because of all the work that Audible has done to tell people that audiobooks exist, is paying off in that way, and margins for the industry are expanding more and more. So I think that's probably that 1-2 punch there.
Okay, so spoilers, that is my next 10 questions. Consider it a preview.
I'm making up for being late.
Oh.
Okay, so my big one on that one is accessibility. Audiobooks have made storytelling accessible to everybody. Primarily, most people who don't identify as readers will readily listen to people tell a story. And with actors like Jeff Hayes and with Sarah here doing such fantastic jobs narrating, it makes it so much more of an enjoyable experience when they capture the heart of a story and orally tell it to you. Humanity's history with storytelling has always gone back to an oral tradition. So with audiobooks on the such rampant rise, there's something innate there that we're attaching to with being told a story rather than just reading it.
Yeah, I think to add to that, our society has developed now where accessibility is something that is changed and accepted, and there was a time where books on tape or audiobooks were almost considered cheating. In school, if you had to read the book, you had to read the book, you couldn't listen. And so I think there's preferences, and there's also accessibility in the way that people learn and the way that people absorb story and content besides just, their preferences. And so I think that people, taking a big stand now, not just audiobook narrators, but teachers and librarians, just society as a whole, being like, no, audiobooks, that is reading. And I think that has become the biggest thing, as well as accessibility for blind people as well. And part of seeing has been something that I have seen has really taken a change because, I'm sure somebody will mention AI throughout all of this,
No.
and AI is going to do what AI is going to do, but I think the most important thing is the people who are following audiobooks, the people who are here at this panel, who care. AI is never going to replace an actor, a story, that, genuine truth that comes with.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back
Because I have a horror story.
Okay.
I write horror, and I apparently also tell them as well. So, okay, so yeah, good. You definitely laid the groundwork, but let's talk about just the last, say, 5 years or so. Audiobooks have just blown up. And I'm gonna just, call it what it is. You have Amazon by Audible, and you have this, very, very easy to use. The Audible app has improved in how easy it is to get audiobooks. And so let's talk a little bit about that. How you guys have seen the changes since Amazon bought Audible, and how that has either helped or hindered your career in audiobooks. And we'll start with Jeff.
How has it helped or well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because I've just had my day at the grindstone and been working really hard at just improving our product. Maybe people have been more receptive to that increase in quality, or have noticed increase in quality more as more people are running through these audiobooks. I mean, one thing about audiobook listeners is they get hooked pretty hard. And they'll be sharing how many hours they've listened this week or this month or this year on social media. And it kind of makes me feel like a drug pusher or something.
Well, and Amazon's really good with that. First taste is for free.
Yeah. We employ that strategy at Time of Theater as well. So, that's hard to say.
Stone, as a producer, what do you see?
So with me, Audible, being bought by Amazon, has provided a platform that, much like these Soundstripe, SoundCloud situations with music has done, it's made producing audio cheap. Previously, it was hard to produce audio. It was a chore. You had to go to a studio, you had to know somebody who had the mics, you had to know somebody who would spend over $30,000 worth of equipment to do this, and nowadays that's not the case. You can produce an audiobook for around a decent $5,000 amount worth of equipment and have access to a platform that allows you to screen press all of this through. The double-edged sword of this is that since anybody can do it, anybody can do it. You have people who have put the time to learn how to do this, to actually put forth the effort into both the technical and craft side of audio producing. And then you have people who have a blue mic, a focus on Scarlet Red interface, and a MacBook just pumping out things as fast as they possibly can. So that's where the double-edged sword is in that one.
So kind of like what happened with self-publishing, when all of a sudden that
Exactly.
boom, you had an influx of product, but not all of that product was quality product.
Yeah, that's comparable.
Okay.
Yeah, just as far as acquisition goes, I mean, I wasn't narrating before it was acquired, so it created my career. So for me, it was a 100% change. But I wouldn't necessarily owe it to Audible. So I can't really speak to the 4 or 5 years from now.
So one of the things I didn't hear any of you mention, which I found very interesting, was the idea of Audible will sometimes, when you buy a book, will offer you the audio book as like a little bonus for an extra $5. If you buy something like pre-order or whatever, you get the audio book with it, so that and it kind of like you can track where you are in the physical book, and it will pick up where you are in the audio book, which is insane. Like, to think about that you can just like, oh, I'm reading, oh, it's time for me to go to work, and I get on a light rail or a bus, and I can pick up right from where I left off without having to carry the book with me. Never mind, that didn't happen. That's one of the things I saw as a big change and made easier for the reader/listener. Anybody want to comment on that?
I'd like to comment. As an indie author, I feel like Amazon's acquisition of Audible and ACX, which is the branch off of Audible that allows indie authors to produce their own audiobooks, has been a complete boon. I don't know if there are many authors here in the audience or if they want to get started in producing their own audiobooks, but just going to acx.com, you can start looking for audiobook narrators. I mean, right now, if you really want it, even in the audience. And you can listen to their samples, they can read some of your work, they can audition to you. It makes the process of being an individual who wants to produce audiobooks like infinitely easier. It was not like that before. It was extremely hard to get a hold of somebody who had all of the audio equipment, who had all the stuff, and so yeah, I think it's a game changer, specifically for individuals and for smaller companies who want to get into this.
So that's so you don't narrate your own stuff. You do narration. And Stone, you don't do it. Do you?
Production. Just production.
Yeah, just production. Okay. So, like with the sudden boom of authors, and we now have ACX, which we talked about a little bit. So you guys are getting kind of the idea, and I was going to bring this around to ACX here. How hard is it to find work when you've got that many people all of a sudden that you're competing with? Do you find that it's been harder to find steady work, or is it, are you still finding enough work?
I have never had a shortage of work from when I just first started narrating, and I think that's purely because there are so many more authors and books out there than there are narrators. The door's wide open, right? But the reality is the supply and demand is way off. There's tons and tons and tons of audiobooks out there. There's tons of people figuring out, hey, I can actually write, and no one can stop me from publishing it and making money. The industry is just kind of flourishing, and more authors much faster than the growth of narrators. I don't know if that's ever going to change, because, well, I don't know. Lots of people want to be influencers now, right? Lots of kids want to be influencers now, and like
TikToks.
now there's a glut of those, right? So I don't know. It's hard to say, but I would say narration is definitely a more specific skill that you have to really focus and hone your chops with. Whereas with doing random media on the internet, it's just kind of like I don't know, you find your niche and just go. So I think we're always going to have that advantage as far as that's concerned.
Sarah?
Yeah, what I'll say as the devil's advocate side of that is I would say ACX now is super saturated, both with narrators, so it's hard for authors to find someone that they know and can trust is going to be professional. And on our side, super saturated with authors where we're not sure, you have to do your research to see if this book is
Written well. Let's just
written
call it.
well.
Let's call it what it is.
But not only that, so what I will say is I think it is harder now with this super saturation and this boom of audio for a narrator to make a living full-time solely off of audio if they are just beginning now. I am very fortunate, as Jeff, that I have never struggled for work, and right now I'm super saturated with work, but that is because I now work mostly with publishers, and if I'm working with indie authors, I am working with them one-on-one, and then bringing them to ACX as a means of distribution. As far as me going online now and seeking out auditions on ACX, I am not doing that as much, and I think I can speak for several narrators who are full-time and have been doing this for a while, that they aren't actively pursuing titles on ACX. Some are, but for the most part, that's kind of where we are, which is why I would personally recommend, if you're producing an audiobook, if you're looking for a top-tier narrator. It doesn't mean you can't find one on ACX, but I think that personal relationships in the indie world are becoming very, very important, and I would recommend going that route and then using ACX as a tool rather as a crutch to do that.
ACX is where you start off,
Yeah.
is where you build your name, and once your name is out there, and once authors know you do good work, they come to you.
Exactly.
So ACX, I haven't auditioned on ACX for probably 9 years. So
Couldn't tell you. But I uploaded a book to ACX 2 days ago. But it's because that was a personal relationship. So that's what it was.
So, Satan, how does she do with advocating for you? said this to the devil's advocate, and we got the devil's right there.
Oh, Satan.
Yeah.
She's doing a great job.
Yeah, there we go. We've gotten validation. All right. So, okay, so here's my horror story. Since we have been dancing on the idea of AI, and certainly this has changed what's happening for the producers, the writers, the voice actors, and everything. I turned down the audiobook for my novel, The Drawn Horse Chronicle, which is a weird Western. I'm not going to spend 5 minutes telling you about it. You can find out yourself later. I turned it down because my publisher wanted to use an AI to do the audiobook. And how they set up their AI is they've had the same guy doing their audiobooks for, I don't know, a dozen, 20 years or something like that. Same guy doing the voice. They predominantly do Westerns, and they've had the same guy doing the voice. And they have recordings of this guy's voice going back 20 years. And basically, he signed over the rights to his voice to them. So all they have to do now is just feed the book into a computer, and it will read the book in his voice. And I said, well, what about accents? What about male versus female and stuff like that? And they said, well, we have an audio engineer who tags these things and so forth, so that the AI knows that the voice has changed or whatever, right? And I said, do you know how many of my friends are voice actors? I can't stand this idea, right? And honestly, the way they're doing it would give a better AI recording than, say, some of the ones that generate the voice just from the ether, right? At least this is a guy who's getting money for using his voice. He doesn't have to record them anymore, but they give him a share of the royalty because they're using his voice, but he doesn't have to actually sit down and record them anymore. This scares the living crap out of me because, much like our narrators up here, this potentially could hurt them financially. So then, my question then to you guys, and we'll start with you, Stone, since you're a producer, right? What type of agreements do you have with your authors as far as, do you put in contracts or whether or not you will or will not use AI? And what do you think of AI for audiobooks, all right?
So for me, I have a no AI clause because I believe that the relationship between the narrator and the book they're reading, the emotional capacity they have to feel what they're reading, adds so much to the context of the story that's being told. And a computer's context, specifically with AI. And a computer's context, specifically with AI, and even the most advanced AI platforms, cannot reason what emotion is just yet whenever it's producing it from a narrative perspective. Whenever you're having the audio producer narrating or switching out which voices they're using, which accents, which inflections they're using, the audio producer at that point is the one who is, the audio engineer, is the one who is choosing where those inflections go. And whether he's actually read the book or not, or is just going off of what the actual line by line production is, you have no clue. So that to me would be detrimental to producing a good story, which is why I would never do it.
Okay. Sarah, what do you think about this?
Sorry, what is the specific question?
So when you work with, you say producers.
Having a clause.
Yeah. Have you run into anything with either like publishers saying they just want to use your voice to AI? And
This is where the SAG has been great, SAG-AFTRA, and they really are pushing as much as they can to protect us as actors and performers. It's not going to be perfect. I think the important thing is that AI is coming, and if we push completely against it, it'll backfire on us. And so it's about how do we approach that the right way. I can tell you the wrong way. I don't know if you guys know virtual voice on Audible. So my book was one of the first ones to turn into a virtual voice, and I didn't know. So if you Google this specific title, 2 versions come up, one with my name and one with virtual voice. And I had no idea until people were complaining about the virtual voice, and they posted a book as an example, and it was mine. And I was like, what is going on? And you listen to the two, and I would hope that you can hear the difference. But it was super frustrating, and where that comes into play, we don't have control over that. We don't have the power over that because we've been paid already, assuming that's not a royalty share deal. This is something that 5 years ago, these weren't protections that needed to be put in place. So, there was no control I had to get an author to take that down, even though I felt like that compromised my integrity just by having the two linked together. So I would say that actually, sometimes for us, there aren't protections, and we need to do that.
Can you explain what virtual voice is for those people who don't know?
Yeah, virtual voice is the name that they have called the AI voice on Audible. Originally, Audible and specifically ACX sent out a beautiful little carte blanche. We are not doing AI. We don't support AI. That's not happening. And then all of a sudden, they said, never mind. Actually, authors, you can have your audiobook made for free. We will do it for you. You just have to press this button, and virtual voice will come. And it's a lovely little robot, which sounds like a human to a degree. And it's AI, and it's everything completely controlled by Audible and Amazon to, make a nice, easy way for an author to get their stuff on Audible.
I'd like to add that the day after they announced the virtual voice service, they declared, was it National Narrator Appreciation Day? Just great how their marketing teams are communicating. I have actually a question.
Yeah.
Your author put a virtual voice version up as well as the version
As well,
that you did?
didn't take mine down.
Oh, why?
I was told, and I wasn't even able to speak to her, and this was an independent project. I was told it was, pardon me, basically for shits and giggles, to see what would happen. To basically be like, oh, let's see if we can make sales, and I can prove that, like, Sarah, doesn't really matter that she's a human, because look, we've got this AI. And I couldn't tell you what the outcome is. I have no idea. I haven't spoken to this woman. I have absolutely no idea. All I know is if you put it up, there's two. And I don't want that. What if someone's listening to that and getting confused and thinking it's me? Like, that's my work. It upsets me, actually.
Gotta say,
You can't
kind of a dick move.
Yeah.
Gotta say, but
Yeah.
I also.
But it doesn't, just real quick, it doesn't sound like you though, right?
No.
No.
And if it did, that would be something different. But
Yeah,
some of them
no,
do
it's like-
sound like colleagues of mine, and that's a different story.
Oh,
So, real quick, I'd like to poll the audience here. Raise your hand if you can think of an AI narrated audiobook that you enjoyed. And this isn't a trick question. Just if you enjoy it, fine, please.
did any of you ever listen to an AI narrated book? Any of you? Okay, we got one there. Anybody else? Over there? Okay. All right.
So it's a very,
Over here?
like, you
I
guys,
use it for technical books, right? I have a hard time. They don't process.
Okay.
So for me, it's super valuable. And
but what you did was you took the text and you fed it to an AI yourself. You didn't purchase it from somewhere.
I do it through third
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I did it I was studying for my license exams, and they had it translated, and that was also AI. But it was for, like, building code.
And you almost want that to sound like a robot, don't you? Okay? If you're reading technical information, the more it sounds like C-3PO, probably the better.
Inside information.
I mean, I don't know. I like just have my voice in my head all the time. So.
Yeah, you have a question?
I was going to comment because it's kind of like the uncanny valley. It's good for industrials and tutorials, but when you're in a book and it has the climax of the book and then it just sounds completely deadpan.
Yeah.
There's no brevity, no
Okay,
let's
so we'll come to one more questions and comments, but I want to get to his point and then allow Shami a chance.
So I don't think that AI is a legitimate threat. I think that people want that human connection. I don't think we need to campaign that hard. I just think that as professionals, we need to look at what we're doing, and we need to keep in mind that we always need to get better, that we always need to improve. We need to make sure that our products are superior to the AIs. We need to secure our own jobs in that way and make sure that what we're doing is not replicable. The thing about computers is that they're really great at learning a formula and spitting it out. So if that's your style of narration, you're in trouble.
Well, as an indie author, I super strive for the highest quality of work because I feel like indie authors are specifically scrutinized harder than a traditionally published author because everybody has this preconceived notion that indie books are a trash fire, like a dumpster fire over here because there's no editing and nobody cares and they wrote it over a weekend or things like that. But I have spent years honing my craft, writing really great books, weaving complex stories, understanding the 3-act structure. It's very important to me to have super high quality work. And I only want to work with awesome narrators at this point. Okay, nobody's going to love my book like I love my book. And I want it to be the best it possibly can be because I'm a merchant of entertainment, right? And the AI just sucks the life out of whatever it reads. And I guess I agree with some people. It's great for technical, readings and things like that. But when I'm trying to tell you a story that has emotional beats, that has awesome climaxes, that have great villains, that have surprise twists, I don't want an AI to read that. I want the people who experience my stories the best possible way they can experience it. And I feel like if there are any aspiring authors or authors in the audience, that it's really, really important that you treat your work with the most care you possibly can, and it really is important to have humans behind that if you want really high quality.
Well, can you imagine AI with the bow chicka wow wow scenes and all the rubber bands? Yes, please rip my bodice apart. Okay, so this is really good information. I'm liking what I'm hearing here. I only hope that, like with my publisher, that doesn't seem to care that much about what we're talking about up here, that other publishers do, because when it comes down to it, publishers are going to do what's best for their bottom line. And the cost of an AI versus the cost of a voice actor is very different, right? So do you, and I'm just one more time with the narrators and then we're going to go with another topic here. But do you feel like you want to possibly lower your rate to be more competitive with AI? Or do you feel like you've established yourself enough and you've got enough work that you don't have to worry about that yet? Sarah, we'll start with you.
I need to eat. I can't lower my rating. I gotta eat, man. Like, sorry. But also, I think that the big difference here is the people who are going to have AI audiobooks are the ones who weren't going to pay in the first place to have those audiobooks of quality. And so I think while it will technically take jobs and it will technically create competition, it's unfortunately a bit the bottom of the barrel. I understand if you can't afford to create an audiobook, they are expensive. But, the difference is the intention behind it. So, but as far as, I can't lower my rates. If anything, I need to increase them. We've got inflation. So it's kind of like a moot point there for me at least.
Jeff?
I think that people just starting off maybe need to lower their expectations as to what their finished hour rate is in order to convince someone to give them a chance compared to AI. But I don't think career narrators who've established a following, who've established good relationships with publishers or anything like that, I don't think they're gonna need to. I think that most producers, most authors understand that when they release an AI product, it looks tacky. That's the main thing. If you're devaluing, if you own a restaurant and you're buying all the cheapest produce you possibly can, people don't want to eat at your restaurant. It's awful, right? So there are going to be publishers who go, oh yeah, dollar amount less, so I make more. Yeah, and then they're
they don't charge less for the product. They charge the same amount for the product, right? And I was going to bring that up to Stone, but yeah.
It doesn't make any actual financial sense in the long run. But yeah, I work royalties anyway, so I have to wait.
So as far as being a producer, and you look at a piano, right? You look at a sheet and you say, I have to charge this much for a product when I use a voice actor versus an AI, and obviously you're using voice actors, so you know your product is going to have to cost more for you, but you can't necessarily charge more for your product because obviously you're competing with companies who are, lowballing their audio. So you have to stay competitive. How does that work with you when you're looking at marketing or, profit and loss on your products?
So my primary thought on this is quality cost. Quality is always going to cost. And with producing a project, let's say that I'm working with Jeff here and he demands a 60-40 royalty split to produce a project for me. And it keeps me from having to break out my studio equipment, hire an independent engineer to come do it. And since Jeff has a following of his own, he's already bringing to it an audience that's going to also read the book as well. So it's an additional form of marketing. When I look at the cost benefit versus the cost loss of just doing it through an AI that's more than likely going to produce something that's absolute garbage to me anyways, the cost benefit completely outweighs any savings I would make. And also the added benefit of having somebody with an established career who would have readers come to them with a fan base that's introducing the author that I'm writing that I'm publishing anyways, is significantly more valuable to me. So the money I'd be saving is money I would have spent somewhere else anyways.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, we're going to change topics here for a moment. One of the things that I find both sometimes really cool, but also more often frustrating is full cast drama versus single narrative. All right. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on what you prefer when you say your books are being turned into audio, or have you, either of our narrators worked with doing a full cast production? And does everybody know what I'm talking about when I say full cast? You don't? Okay. Okay, everybody seems to. Okay. So Shami, and go down. What do you think of the difference between full cast versus single narrator?
So it's great that you bring this up because one of the projects I did with Jeff on my latest book, The Urban Fantasy, is they did full cast narration. They even produced some music for the intro and outro and did some sound effects for it. For this book, I was trying to go as great as I possibly could go. I wanted to reach that next level. I agree with Jeff when it's all about improving. You should be striving to improve no matter what you're doing. If you're an artist, if you're if you're just working in an office, if you're always trying to reach the next level, you feel like you're gonna hit greatness, right? So for Nightmare Arcanist, I did it through ACX. I took auditions. I had a single narrator, and Brian Wiggins was a fantastic narrator, and he did a great job with the whole series, and I love it. But again, I wanted to go big or go home, right? So I reached out to Jeff, and Sam did an amazing job on this book. I guess I would say it's probably superior just for quality, sheer quality. So I think I really like the full cast narration.
And just a quick follow-up, when they did your full cast narration, did they have a person reading the exposition, or did they work in the exposition into the dialogue?
No, it was read like it was from the book. So, and Annie was the narrator for, again, this is exactly like if you were reading the book, only they just had voices for all the characters and some sound effects.
Yeah, because I think the thing that annoyed me the most is whenever they would integrate the exposition into the dialogue. Well, now I'm going to open this door and walk through it.
Well, that's more like a radio drama, which
right.
I'm not a fan of. I just like it when it's a normal book, but they have all the voices and
right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's obviously ways to do that doesn't make it sound like crap. You just have to hire writers. That's the thing. So for us, for Sound Blue Theater, we've been producing cinematic audio now for 5 years, and we've started our own platform in order to do it. We have our own app now, so that we can do our best to build the market there and put all of our premium products there so that we're getting the best profit margin possible. Now that's not happening yet because developing an app is incredibly expensive. But once we get past a certain threshold, that not having to give up 60% is going to go a lot further, I think. But when it comes to that, yeah, as a producer, I much prefer the cinematic because I like bringing a vision to life in more ways than just with voice. We're sound booth theater, right? We're not actor booth theater. We love sound. We love music. We love the entire experience, and we do what we can to make it the best experience possible. And again, level up, always improve, always figure out what we did wrong in the last one, so that we can continue to polish it off and make it better. But also as a producer, it's just more fun. It's more fun to work with other actors and get a better representation of a character than perhaps I could do on my own as a narrator, as a single narrator. And it's fun to direct. It's fun, like the back and forth in directed sessions is uplifting, and I improve as a director, they improve as an actor. It's exponential, in my opinion, in us enjoying what we do and increasing the passion that we have for this medium.
Stone?
I'm just going to say ditto everything you just said.
Okay, for the sake of time, we'll accept that.
Obviously it's more fun for us. It's amazing. It's much more fun to do that. I will say that it's harder to get it right. Sound booth theater gets it right, but not a lot of people do. And so I think for that reason, many people can sometimes be skeptical because if you're listening to it and it's not great, then it's crap. So I would say that, but also there are some books that it's not the vibe for. If you're listening to like a little cozy, you probably don't want, the giant orchestral, music in the background. It's just not the right vibe. But for the ones that are, it's obviously just so much more fun.
All right. We're going to move the microphone down, and we're going to open up to some questions for the next few minutes as we get close to the end of our panel. So, if anybody has a question, this would be the place that you come. If you're too shy and you just want to do it from your seat, we'll figure it out.
So I did have one question. Did you guys ever have to narrate a book that you actually didn't like?
And none of them can answer that legally. No, go
You
ahead.
don't have to actually say what book it was.
When I'm in the booth, I do my best to treat every book as if I like it.
That's a parental answer. I love all my children the same. Was there one that you struggled through? Now, whether you liked or not.
Yeah.
What was the struggle? What was the hard part about it? Is it the writing, or is
Yes, it's mainly writing. I mean, I like craftsmanship. I think that if you're going to make money in an industry where you're making things, you should do it well because people are paying for it. So when I'm working on something that's not polished, that doesn't seem like the author has put enough thought and time and effort into, I'm like, why am I here? So it's really more about like feeling, wanting professionalism in my partners.
Sarah?
I think at the end of the day, while what we're doing is so fun and so fulfilling, it's a job. And so anyone who says that they've loved every book they've ever narrated is lying. And so, it's just a job. But that's okay because your job is to separate that emotion and, make a product that is fantastic for somebody who does enjoy that book or that genre. So that's what I would say about that.
So here's my quick question as an addendum to that. We, especially science fiction authors, but sometimes fantasy authors, will come up with names for characters or spells or stuff that are practically impronounceable. What do you do in a situation like that?
Well, I will ask for a list of pronunciations, and if I don't get it, then you give it.
All right, come on.
I was thinking along the lines of the little Venn diagram between traditional voice acting and audiobook narration. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, obviously, and some of them tend to be a little more even-keeled in the tone between prose and dialogue, while others, I'm thinking of Mark Thompson's Star Wars books. Yeah, he like, every time something explodes, he goes, and then something exploded, something like that. Where do you find the best balance between doing a lot of emphasis or emotion in dialogue and just trying to make it listenable for someone?
So let's go with Stone with this, since you're kind of an audio producer. How do you balance that?
For me, that's a per project basis. If you're doing something like Star Wars or Dungeon Protocol, get into it, man. Like, your fans are gonna love it. They're gonna be great. If you're doing something that's like more on the lines of a traditional, very artistic literary book, just keep it traditionally narrated. Like, I'm pretty sure the fans won't appreciate bang out of nowhere.
Yeah. Sarah, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, it's a tone sort of thing. I think about, okay, who's listening to this most likely and where? You know, are they really into it? Are they focusing on it? Or are they, you know, like taking care of 3 kids and doing the dishes and things are going on all around them, and then all of a sudden they're gonna get freaked out by some like yelling. So that it's a tone thing. I think that's just like part of the professionalism and experience after doing it for so long.
All right, thank you.
Got to adjust this a little bit. So I do actually have one audiobook that I've produced and released. It's on Amazon, all that good stuff. You got questions, ask me. But right now, I have...
Your name's not Luke,
Sorry,
is it?
as a narrator or as an author?
As a narrator.
Your name's not Luke, is it? Because we've been waiting for
No.
you.
If only. No, so, but my last apartment had a really great space for me to record, a walk-in closet, essentially. It was great. My current apartment does not have that space available, so I was just wondering if any of you had like low-budget options for an open space like that where I can't get the same kind of like
I can answer that.
audio quality that I had before.
One of the things somebody taught me is, you know, those weighted blankets they use when at the moving companies and stuff like that, right? Hang those up on a wall. It absorbs sound. That was one trick that was taught me, right? So if you can get that, even a bathroom or something, you hang it, you know, so that it blocks up the tile that reflects sound. But, you know, look at the materials of the wall around you. Certain things reflect sound and certain things absorb sound. So you look for the things that you know will absorb sound and not reflect it. Anybody want to add to
It's
that?
all drywall right now. So.
Yeah, then get some weighted blankets from U-Haul.
Come talk to me afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can just give you like, ready, go get PVC pipe, make a temporary little square thing, go get a vocal booth, they're like $60 a pop, go get about 4 blankets and hang them over like that and have a temporary little nothing thing.
Go.
That's it.
I'll add one thing. A lot of libraries have free audio books. Booths, audio booth. Yeah.
And it's very quiet in here, so you can be as loud as you want.
Yeah. He's not wrong. So yeah, but no, and usually have to reserve it through the website. But I have done audio recording inside libraries before. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Well, nervous. Audiobooks have definitely transformed how we all live my history. Do you see a next evolution? Like you've taken books, you've taken a little bit farther, it's become much more immersive with sound, right? So it's, the full cast sounds, and to me that's kind of opened it up even more. You see it going visual at some point.
In the movies,
But we can't afford movies, and authors can't. Just like all authors could afford, couldn't do narrators. You see something that's kind of, I'm thinking back to the AI. I get AI not being great for books, but you see that ever becoming part of your world on, just to help a little bit extra to become more immersive. And I know it takes it from the book, and then it becomes not a book.
Yeah, sound tech is evolving all the time, right? We're experimenting with Dolby Atmos now to make 3D sound, right? Like to make full surround, and so that you can hear movement of things and stuff like that. We do a little bit of that with stereo, but like there's some other element of Dolby Atmos that I honestly have no fucking idea what it actually is. But my engineers are really excited about it. As far as pushing further than even audio drama, like right now, Sound Booth, like just yesterday we launched our first motion comic. So it's just a 6-minute video on our new YouTube channel that is, we took a comic by Hal J. Green. It's called Backup, and we have Andy Parsnow do the voices of the 2 main characters, and we did full sound effects and music to it, and then we had a video editor take the panels of the comic and make an animatic out of this thing, and it's actually compelling to watch. I really enjoy this production. We have 3 more in the works that are going to be coming out monthly. Who knows if this is going to become a market or not? That people have been doing this on YouTube anyway, right? But they're like more amateur productions, not professional voice actors, just a bunch of friends getting together and putting it together. But the passion's there, and the viewership's there for those people, right? So who knows? Who knows? What I know is that audio drama to me is kind of like comics, where it's a lower budget form of entertainment as far as production that gives us an opportunity to reach niches.
My book trailer is done with animatics, so yeah, I do think that there's potential for it. Stone, have you been doing anything with animatics or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, one of the things I like to point to at this point is what Amazon did with the Wheel of Time shorts. How there was animatic storytelling, where there was moving motion picture, and they had an overdub behind it. And a couple of friends of mine are currently working on animatics for the series that I'm writing called The Death Legion, that we want to be a big part of the visual component, because with how we're telling the story, it would be one aspect of the story we can't find a place to fit in the novels, but it'd be a great marketing tool to be like, hey, if you want more of this, here's where you can find the entire story.
Have you done anything with animatics?
Well, so I'm in the middle of getting Nightmare Arcanist turned into a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
We've already done the storyboarding, and we have an artist that's coming together with that. At some point, I would like to do exactly what Jeff is doing, where it's turned into a video format, basically with voice acting and other things like that. But yeah, we're already in the process, so
Okay, cool.
I'm excited.
Thank you for the question. Next.
So this question is actually for all of you. At what point did you go from thinking, oh, this is just a job, to, oh my God, I can make a career out of this?
Well, I think it's different for me because I was obviously the author in a book. My first book that I put out there made a little bit of money. The second book made more money, and then the third book is when I realized that I was obviously going to have a career, and I really do attribute it to 2 things. One, the support of my husband, who definitely pushed me to up the quality of my writing, and then the second thing is the quality. If you're dedicated to the quality of your craft, either as a narrator or as writing stories, and you're really dedicated to upping your craft every time you do something new, I think you can totally make a career out of it. Now, it might not be the first thing you produce, right? It might not be the first audiobook, it might not be the first book you put out there, so you have to keep at it, and there is a bit of luck. Sometimes you get to work with really great people, sometimes you don't make any money, but so I guess the third thing is persistence. You need to keep doing it, you need to keep getting better. So
For me, it was the first time the check didn't bounce. It cashed. I'm like, oh, somebody paid me to write. I could possibly make a career of this. The time that I realized I could actually make a career of it, which was almost 10 years later, was when I hit the national bestseller list. So at that point, I'm like, yeah, I think I made the right choice.
When I started doing voice acting, I was completely unemployed. So I just had to make it. That's it.
I cheated. I came into this industry from the music industry and had been working at that since I was 13 years old, so kind of a reality.
He almost was born into this industry. He pretty much has been doing it since he could talk. So.
For me, I feel like it's a little different just because I am an actor and I consider audiobooks to be a part of that. And so for me, I don't remember a time where that wasn't everything I wanted. I think the first time that my family took me seriously was when I was on TV for the first time. And that kind of made them go, all right,
What was that?
It,
I love this question so much.
It was do you guys know like A&E, like those reenactment true crime shows?
Yeah.
It was called Celebrity Ghost Stories. And it was great. It was my finest work.
And what did you play? What did you play? Human.
Real quick, Quasar, don't go anywhere for a second. I just wanted to see if you could show off our our product. We are now stock industry. These are narration +1 socks, so if you want to be better at narration, wear these.
That voice acting had to do with fashion.
It's not fashion, it's technology.
Stand?
No, it improves the total quality. His stance improves his
Circulation.
So, go ahead.
So you talked a bit about generative AI for replacing voices, but what about AI tools to expand your rankings? Like Jeff's voice can only go so deep if you wanted to have a more immersive story with a character 9 feet tall, 400 pounds muscle.
Yeah, that's not
Or
really
having
AI.
Sarah's voice drop more into the child range where it's more of a child.
Yeah, if you really wanted to do that, I mean, before AI, there's always been plugins, you know, that will, you know, change your voice and stuff. That's not really a thing. But I will say that AI obviously can still have a place in this industry. But the way I look at it, probably in any industry, it's more like caulking. You know, AI is something that you can use to fill in the cracks of your production faster, easier, with less fuss, right? You do the things that you don't want to do with AI, right? I think eventually that will be an industry standard. Right?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm just wondering, for people starting out in the voice acting industry, what were some tips and tricks and kind of like resources that you used, and also just maybe networking, how you kind of broke into that a little bit?
Networking for me has been, DragCon was the start of it. I mean, obviously there's like Facebook for me is where all the authors that I know have hung out and done all their advertising. That's where our customers are as well. They're obsessed with RPG, and so they hang out in those groups to find out what's next. But cons definitely are a great way to find new clients. The less involved.
I do also highly recommend Superstars of Writing. Some of us are alumni of that. They've often had panels and producers there, you know, but it's really kind of author-centric if you're a voice actor. But if you're looking for places to network, check out your local, like, seminars, writing workshops, things like that. Look for those panels. They're going to list them ahead of time, you know, and then just like this, you know, get their cards afterwards and follow them on social media. Sarah, do you post like any sort of a blog with tips and tricks of what you do?
Yeah, so I have a TikTok, and I actually narrate live. So every day I have my camera just like in a little corner in my booth, and so a lot of times people will come in and ask for advice, and in between chapters of the things, I'll try to sort of guide them a bit.
Okay.
Author Nation as well is another big one. So it used to be called 20 Books to 50K. It's in Vegas every November. The first Author Nation is this year. We're like the number 2 sponsor of that. But that's where a ton of authors go to network with each other, learn how to market from each other. I think narrators need to be there.
Look at the APA. Just Google that. Take a look at the APA before working with publishers.
So, I'm really sorry we are out of time, but we will be around afterwards if you have questions. We're always happy to answer. Everybody, a round of applause for my You can find them in the app to find out where they are next and what they're doing. And on your way out, let's not forget to help support me in my old age when I'm bent over and seriously, this is a wonderful organization. Please come help support. Thank you.